Morning, everybody. Welcome to another word of the day. I am super excited to share with you guys what thus saith the Lord this morning. The topic of this word of the day today is keep it knocking but can't come in. And my reading will be from Acts chapter 12, verses 12 through 16. And if you would like to, you can look at these scriptures on your alone time. But I'm going to give you guys a backdrop of the story as I always do. And I pray that this word blesses you as it will always tremendously bless me. So in the text, we have a man by the name of Peter. He is a fellow disciple. And the Bible says that he is held captive and he's put in prison. And as he is in prison, as he is taken away in confinement, he has other people who are praying for him. He has other brethren of his that are praying for him, praying for his release. They're praying for an answer. And that answer is to get Peter to be released from jail. And the Bible says that they prayed strenuously. They pray without ceasing. So here these people are all together in one room, in one area, and they are literally praying in such a way where they are not stopping their prayer until they see this answer be released. And the Bible says that it was a woman by the name of Rhoda who was in the midst of them, who was in the midst of praying with them, and she hears a knock at the door. And when she hears a knock at the door, she goes to the door and she sees that Peter's at the door. She hears that Peter's at the door. So in other words, she sees and hears that the answer is at the door. The thing that they've been praying about strenuously, the thing that they've been praying about in such a way without ceasing, she finally hears and sees this answer at the door. And the Bible says that she did not open the door just yet. Instead, she went to the brethren. She went to the other people in excitement, those who have been praying with her for this answer. She has went to them in excitement and told them that the answer that we've been praying for is at the door. Peter that we've been praying for is at the door. And the Bible says that the people who she was giving this report to, the Bible says that they had told her that she is going crazy, that she is not hearing right, she's not seeing right, that the answer has not showed up. And the Bible even says that not only did they dismiss her, but they dismissed her report. And I want to let you know, guys, today, just to park here real quick, that many a times we could be finding ourselves praying for an answer to show up, praying for the thing that we've been asking God for, praying for the thing that we've been praying without ceasing, just to finally see the answer. And the moment that you know that your answer has arrived is when you find yourself going to give people a report of the answer you've been anticipating, and they dismiss you. When you dismiss a person, they get rid of you. They send you away, and they have you as unworthy in such a way where you're not to be taken seriously. And I want to let you know that whenever God's about to open the opportunity for you, whenever there's an answer knocking at the door for you, you will be sent away by people that you would never expect. These people were praying with her. These people were in anticipation for the answer that they all were trying to receive. But she had found the answer knocking at the door. And instead of her being embraced and instead of them believing that which they were praying for, they dismissed her. So many times you guys are wondering why you're being dismissed when God starts to show up with answers in your life that you have been waiting for. The thing that's been knocking at your door that God's been trying to release to you, you're wondering why you are being dismissed from people that you are in proximity with. You are wondering why you're being dismissed from people that we're literally doing work with. But I want to encourage you and let you know that that is a sign that your answer is knocking at the door. And what this woman did was she was so interested in trying to convince, she was so consumed rather with trying to convince a people that would not believe her or her report and dismiss her and her report. The Bible says that Peter was in the street, still knocking and still standing in the middle of the street, still standing in the street, the Bible says, waiting for the door to be open. So here the answer is ripe and ready. Here the answer is knocking at the door. Here is the answer that you've been praying for, that you've been praying for God to send you a release for. And it is standing in the street. It is literally waiting at the door. Meanwhile, while you're trying to convince a people who already wrote you off, you are trying to convince a people that is literally dismissing you and your report. They're dismissing you and your answer. They're even calling you crazy. And by you over here wondering or with them and running with them rather, and you're over here wondering, why you can't convince them, your answer is at the door, literally knocking. And you're leaving your answer at the door. You're leaving the answer in the street. Peter was in the street because you're worried about trying to convince a people that something has showed up instead of going to that thing that has showed up. And this is the season when you could not afford to continue to have yourself to try to convince people in such a way where you miss your opportunity of the answer knocking at the door, where you miss the fact that your answer is still waiting for you to let it in. And you are so caught up in trying to convince people who already wrote you off when the answer is at the door waiting for you to let them in. waiting for you to let it in. What are you in expectation of when it comes to God? What have you been praying for and you see your answer showing up? And at the beginning stages, you're trying to convince a people to go with you. You're trying to convince a people to embrace the answer that came at the door, and they are not even trying to receive you or receive the answer. You are at a point right now where you cannot afford to convince people any further. If people do not want to believe your report and they want to dismiss your report and dismiss you, that is a sign that they are not a part of the answer. That is a sign that they are not supposed to be a part of where you are going in this next dimension and phase of your life. You got to be willing for this season right now. When God is answering a question for you, he has sent the answer for you when it pertains to your vision, when it pertains to your situation, when it pertains to your circumstance. You have to be willing to not be so caught up in trying to convince a people where you can open the door for the answer that you have been praying for feverishly to show up. I'm letting you know right now, I don't know who this is for, but you have your answer knocking. Your answer is knocking at the door. The thing that you've been praying for is knocking at the door, and it is waiting for you to come in. And you need to stop allowing yourself to be so caught up in trying to convince a people who don't want to hear you, who's already dismissed you, who already counted you as unworthy to be taken seriously. And you need to go after that door and let it in. Because while you're trying to convince a people, your answer is right there waiting for you to give it the release to come in, to do what it needs to do for you to soar in this season of your life. So I want to encourage you and tell you that enough is enough. Enough is enough when it comes to trying to convince people, trying to prove your point. So the Bible even said that she stuck by her story, but it didn't matter whether she stuck by her story because she still let the answer knock on the door. She still did not have the answer come in. She still did not let the answer in. She's too busy trying to convince people, and she is sticking to her story. But what good is it to stick to a story or stick to what you believe if you're not going to let the answer in? If you're not going to respond to the answer that showed up? This girl was so caught up. This woman was so caught up in trying to convince people who already wrote her off, who already talked about her, said that she was crazy, and even wrote her off when it came to her report and who she is as a person. And she was so caught up in trying to convince them that the answer was outside waiting for her. It was outside waiting to be let in. And your answer is waiting for you. God has already given you the answer. Stop asking. Stop trying to convince people the moment your answer show up that this is what God says it is. You're either going to go after that answer or you're going to waste your time trying to convince people why your answer is waiting on you. It's waiting on you. And I need you to stop trying to convince people and get yourself a position to open the door. So God bless you. I pray this really blesses you. I pray that you really take root of this word. I pray this word takes root in you rather, so that you can soar and grow and develop in this very word and just allow yourself to embrace the answer. You don't need to have people that would co-sign what God has already showed up in. You don't have to have people to co-sign the answer that God has already given you. I need you to stop trying to convince people. No longer are you convincing people in 2020. You need to find yourself in position where if you are not received and you are dismissed, you and your report is dismissed. I need you to go after that report and remove yourself from those who are dismissing you. God bless you, and you have a great, 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 great day, and enjoy your weekend.